I have a theory.
Hello, everybody! I've never made any videos like this before where I just talk and talk, because every time I want to, I end up talking for too long and I can never get my point across because I yap and lose it. But hey, I'm writing a script this time. This is my first theory video ever, so I hope you guys enjoy. I've told some of my friends about this theory I've had ever since the first episode of Season 4 dropped. So, Pickle.
Pickle? Nah, man. No damn pickle. Pickle no. Pickle no good. Pickle no good. Who said pickle is not good? Pickle no good.
In the first episode of Season 4, he shows up at the hospital with a broken leg, and Salt whispers to Tapey, "He's our best customer." Which implies, well, not even implies, it just flat out states, he's the person who shows up to the hospital the most, more than anyone else. That reminds me of Pickle mentioning his great cliff jumping experience back in Season 1. That's just a funny joke that they threw in, but I'm sure that'll be explored in the future. Everything in Inanimate Insanity has an explanation. And so not only that, but Pickle canonically has depression, so is he going to kill himself? Is that what they're trying to tell us here? And oh my gosh, it's so surprising and jarring to think about suicide being a thing in Inanimate Insanity, but knowing everything that's already happened so far in the show, at this point I'm not surprised if it goes in that direction. I think Pickle is a very overlooked character, both by the audience, us watchers, and also the people in the game, in the show, his friends. He just doesn't get recognized very much. And I will say, like, last year, if you asked me about Pickle, I'd go, oh yeah, he's fine, I guess. I didn't really care about Pickle back then. But lately, you know, I've been caring more because I binge-watched the show again. Rewatching made me feel for him. Like, dang, Taco really destroyed him back there in Season 1. I feel bad for bro. When I rewatch shows, I like to pay attention to different characters that I didn't pay much attention to before. I just look at them, and I do this often so I can understand every character. And so I noticed that, like, all the characters that Pickle is friends with have someone they like more. Like, they have someone who they'd rather hang out with. So Pickle doesn't have any close friends. He doesn't have that one person who will be there to listen to him. Baseball has Nickel, Balmy has Cheesy, Knife has Suitcase. Who does he have, bro? Everyone else has a go-to friend, but Pickle has no one. So that's really sad. No one is there to help him with his struggles. I'm sure that no one knows about his depression, dude. Like, yeah, people knew he was sad about the whole Taco betrayal thing, but to what extent? If anyone knew, I think it would be Taco herself. I feel like Pickle's inability to talk to anyone about his pain could really resonate with viewers who feel like they don't have anyone to talk to, because that's how he feels. That frequent hospital visitor line from Salt feels like deliberate foreshadowing. Nothing's accidental here. Everything is said in shows and happens for a reason, so I can only assume that, even while it was minor, that's something we need to pay attention to. Stay on the lookout, gang. I'm worried that the writers will lead to Pickle's suicide. I know how the writers love to meticulously lay out the story in very clever, very cool, very smart ways that really punch you in the gut and hit you like a truck. And so, this could just be me, like, guessing stuff, but I have a feeling that in the backgrounds of future episodes, they'll show Pickle looking sad and miserable. They wouldn't draw attention to it, it would just be something you'd notice on Pickle's expression. You'd have to catch that yourself, just subtle visual hints that Pickle's mental health is getting worse. And over the course of these subtle events, they lead up to his possible death. But maybe he won't, okay? Maybe something else will happen. Maybe Taco talks to him and saves him, salvaging their friendship in a gut-wrenching redemption arc. And they can become awesome pals again. It's Taco clearing the slate that she said she wanted to clear. She wants to turn over a new leaf. Leaf, because she has lettuce. Knee slap. Taco understands a lot about feeling depressed and sad, so she could really get through to Pickle, understand him, and let him know that he's not alone. And then they're friends again! Yay! But there's another route they can take here. So, if you're a fan of Pickle, you're gonna notice him. You're gonna look out for him. You're gonna point and be like, oh my gosh, that's the character! That's the one I want to see! That's Pickle! I love him! You're happy to see this character because you love him. But like, if you don't care about Pickle, you're not gonna notice him. You're not gonna care that he's on the screen in the background for 2 seconds because you're not actively looking for him. I do this all the time. Taco is my favorite character, and so I pinpoint her exact location on the screen, and I see her every time she's there. I always notice her. So, let's say she has this particular expression on her face that is very subtle, and the emotion she's feeling is never said directly. Like, you have to look at her to really notice it. Well, like, she's in the background. I know how she's feeling because I love her, and I see her face. But other people who don't care for her as much may not because they don't look out for her like I do. Same thing goes for us Pickle people. I mean, this is all my idea that I'm conjuring up, so there's a good chance the writers won't even do this. But if they take this route, what I'm certain the thing they'd be attempting to do with it is make parallels with the non-Pickle fans. You know, the people who don't notice his depression signs, and his friends who aren't close enough to Pickle in order to notice. So the writers might be making us treat Pickle like his friends do. We don't notice the signs, and then it's too late. No one except us Pickle enjoyers are paying attention. So if he were to do something, the non-Pickle fans would be shocked. And Pickle's friends, who didn't notice because they have better friends to hang out with, would be shocked. Because, you know, no one was expecting that. They're none the wiser. But Pickle fans who care about him will be like, dude, I saw that coming, I knew something was up. But Pickle doesn't have any people to do that, to go, oh shoot, there's something wrong with my pal, I better go help my bro. So if they were to kill off Pickle, I have a very big feeling that in some way that's how they're gonna execute it. Executed by the writers. Knee slap!
You're not funny.
And if they don't kill off Pickle, there's gonna be a beautiful scene where Taco reconciles with him. I don't like that there's permadeath. That's certainly going to affect the outcome of the season. They're gonna do something with that beyond Jack's almost murdering of Test Tube. By the way, I hate you, Jack. Brian, Adam, Ben, what is happening? Next theory! Let's have a happy afterthought, okay? After all of that, after the Pickle situation, let's have a little happiness. So I think that, at the end, Salt will kind of learn to be independent without Pepper. If you look at the second episode of Season 4 that just came out today, at the time I wrote the script, Salt wants Pepper to do everything with her. She still wants to do everything together with her best condiment friend forever. But maybe later on, Salt actually learns how to run the hospital all by herself. She's not exactly the health expert. So I'm saying she can get good and she can become a beautiful doctor, and it's amazing. Wait. Pepper is like the follower, right? And Salt is the leader. This is how Mifune wrote them. Salt is a trendsetter, and Pepper follows her in her steps. You know what this means? Okay, so Tea Kettle says, I have a reputation for being sweet and caring, and it really messed up my game last season. She doesn't want to be all nurturing like she originally was designed to be anymore. No, she wants to be stronger and change up her act. So she wants like a difference. She wants to be the opposite of how she was originally written. And you look at Cheesy, and he can't go 2 seconds without making a pun or cracking a joke, but he expresses that he doesn't want to be all silly and funny anymore because he's never taken seriously. So, opposite of how Mifune made him. With Candle, she said she wishes that she didn't always appear so stoic. They all want to be different from how they were written. They all want to change who they are, like to be the opposite of how Mifune wrote them. And I get that, but I think it can go a little too far sometimes. Because I feel like despite the fact that they were written that way, and there's no reason for them to stick to that stereotype if they don't want it, it can be a little bad to try to change yourself just because you happen to have been written to Mifune's expectations. Not that they're supposed to be locked or restricted to one particular cliche that Mifune set them, but I feel like there's some parts of them that they genuinely like about themselves. And once they found out, oh, I was written by Mifune 4 and my original personality was coded by him, they're like, I want to be defiant, I want to be someone else because I don't want to follow that stereotype. They don't want to reflect how Mifune envisioned them, so the change is still something they want. But then you look at Salt and Pepper, and it's like there's already a change. They're already doing that. Now Pepper wants to be independent. She's in the lead. She's controlling herself and being in charge of herself rather than following Salt like she used to. But then you look at Salt and she just wants to cling on to Pepper. She's like, hey girl, come on, help me with the hospital. Yuri? Maybe this is how Yuri can play out. Okay, maybe they fall in love. Okay. Salt was written as the leader, and Pepper used to be the one to latch on all the time to Salt. Now it's the other way around, so they're kind of doing the opposite of how Mifune's ideas affected them. I think the change is on accident. They're not doing that intentionally. I think for Pepper it kind of is, but not in the right way. Pepper wants independence and to make her own decisions, but that she doesn't want Salt to just latch onto her all day. She wants to be a leader of herself, not lead other people. The rest of the characters are trying to change themselves and failing, so it's like Salt and Pepper are making a change that maybe they don't exactly want. Not that they want to go back to Salt being the leader or Pepper being the follower, but just that they're independent in their own ways, and in control of themselves, with no need of another person to follow or lead. And I think at the end, Salt will be able to manage the hospital by herself. Maybe she can have another friend or someone who wants to help out and is interested in healthcare. Unlike Pepper, who Salt is kind of just dragging along because she wants her to help her. Salt loves her, and I think that could be a gateway to Yuri, okay? My beautiful Salt Pep Yuri is never going to be a thing. I see how it is, bro. It's just gonna be, oh shoot, I was wrong. Let's be besties again, yay! No lesbian kiss, no wedding. Can't have in Inanimate Insanity. Okay, listen, I know it seems toxic right now, but did you see Paper and OJ? And even before that one PJ scene in episode 18, season 2, Paper was like, I'm so sorry, the last thing I said to you was that I wanted less of you in my life. Obviously, that's not something you want to say to the person you love, but they resolved it. And the same thing could happen for my Salt Pep Yuri. So I'm just saying, my Yuri can continue. I'm noticing things. Anyway, I feel like this whole change thing can lead to Pickle getting better. You saw Taco. Bro, you saw how regretful she looked. In episode 2 of season 4, she says she wants to be clean. She chose clean as her describing word. That's the trait she wants to obtain. So what, like a clean slate? And Taco's tirade, you know, the beautiful song that's my favorite thing that I'll ever blast in my headphones. Love you, Regan Rizzio. So you know, she says, clear the slate. Clear the slate, start again. Are you hearing how preposterous that sounds? Yeah. She says that. So clear the slate. She wants a clean slate. Same thing, clean. That's her word. She wants to start over. I mean, that's obvious. That's been something that's been shown and expressed in the show over and over again. But I'm just like reinstating it, showing all the evidence that that's a thing. Back then, she betrayed Pickle. They used to be best friends, then she betrayed him. Now it's gonna be the opposite. They aren't on the best terms right now. Well, it's clear that Taco likes him and wants to be friends again, but Pickle clearly don't. But something will happen. Taco will talk to him and save him, and then he won't kill himself. Yes. No suicide in my show. Guys, what if Taco Inanimate Insanity saves the world? Okay, my yap session is over. This was really messy, but this is like all the ideas I've had for like Inanimate Insanity. Please, writers, be kind. Spare us. Show mercy. I hope you all can find some logic in my theory so I don't sound like an insane person. Insane? What if the insanity was inanimate? Oh my